So, some 2,000 artists applied. 63 competed in the heats, 8 became semi-finalists, and today we come down to just 3.
In a few hours' time, our last mystery sitter will have chosen their portrait to take home, and the judges will have chosen this year's winner.
So sit back and relax. All the hard work is happening here. It's the final of Portrait Artist of the Year.
This year's medley of competitors has confirmed once more that there is no shortage of artistic talent out there.
I like to start kind of aggressively to try and create problems that I have to solve.
Wow,
so I thought
you're
the
one
pink...
of those.
I have done coloured pencil drawings before, but there's something that keeps pulling me back to black and white. Yeah.
I think it's called talent.
So much to do, not enough time.
Jeez, my heart is racing.
Having earned a place in the competition with their masterful self-portraits, they've turned out to be pretty good at painting famous faces too.
So shall we turn the easels round now?
I feel scared.
Oh my God.
Wow. It's me, and it's me.
Oh, wow.
They're good, aren't they? You guys are good.
My hair looks amazing, better than it does in real life.
The eyebrows are heroic. I'm embarrassed to say I trimmed them the other day.
At the semi-final, 8 artists competed to paint singer Rebecca Ferguson.
Amazing.
And the judges chose their finalists.
Morag Caister,
Binnie Matthews,
Nina Ruminska,
Oh my God, it's just pure madness. It's actually quite amazing. I'm delighted.
but only one of them can win the ultimate accolade. A £10,000 commission to paint actor and broadcaster Sir Lenny Henry for the National Portrait Gallery's permanent collection.
With today's portrait and an extra commission painting to be considered,
these are all incredible.
They really haven't disappointed us, have they?
who will prove they are most deserving of this year's title?
The winner of Portrait Artist of the Year is...
Our artists return to the Grand Hall of Battersea Arts Centre for the final time, where a brand new set awaits them.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
This is unreal.
We've lucked out, haven't we?
I love the glass thingies. Lovely colours.
I'm so happy with that chair.
Isn't it gorgeous? It's a shame they're going to have a sitter in there, really, isn't it?
Who's it going to be? Scientist.
Maybe a farmer.
Beautiful.
I hope you've got a big canvas.
We've got 3 fantastic artists for the final today. I'm genuinely excited about what they're going to produce. And I know already I'm going to find it impossible to pick.
The fact we've got an all-female final is fantastic. We all paint very differently, so I don't feel competitive towards them in any way. And I respect them both very much.
I feel, in a way, being in the final, it feels like a win. I really wanted to get here, and I can't actually quite get my head around it still.
There's definitely a little bit of pressure today. I just want to trust myself, so no expectations, no plans. We'll see what happens.
In these particular 3 artists, we've got 3 very different ways of making portraits. And each one of them has their particular strengths. And I want to see that move to the next level. But of course, there's always that wild card, the commission. And that really throws us every time. But it is also one of the most exciting things about the final day.
That moment when we walk in at the end of the day and we see those commissions, it can change everything. Sometimes there's a painting and it just hits us and it demands to be the winner. And I don't know if today is that kind of day. All I know is that we've got 3 very fine artists and I really hope they do a good job because we love them all.
Morag, Binnie, Nina, welcome to the final, and congratulations for having got this far. Now, 3 years ago, you may not even have heard of today's sitter. And then events early in 2020 catapulted his name into the headlines, his face onto our television screens every night, and we all got used to hanging on his every word. Recently knighted for services to public health, please welcome the former Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Professor Sir Jonathan Van-Tam.
Following an impressive career in public health medicine, Sir Jonathan Van-Tam became a familiar presence at the Downing Street briefings during the 2020 COVID pandemic. He's known for his unique approach to communicating crucial information and his fondness for sports metaphors.
Well, the pandemic changed all our lives, but no life as much as yours.
I think you would say the best of times in terms of professional skills coming together, but the worst of times in terms of the impact on ordinary people and the legacy we're left with.
You're very welcome to spend the day with us, but what have you got in your suitcase?
This small suitcase I purchased from an antiques centre, and I've used it to take my papers to number 10 Downing Street. And so for me, it's become a kind of symbolic and iconic piece of the job I've had to do.
Well, now we're all going to be watching you very carefully. How would you like Jonathan to sit?
As long as you're comfortable, I think.
You need to consider the fact it's going to be 4 hours, so...
Do you fancy putting your foot on that briefcase? That's it. That's a bit more comfortable, right?
Yeah, if that's OK for you, that's OK for me.
Like you're resting after all the madness.
Yeah.
Good. Well, artists, here is your brilliant sitter. It's now up to you to meet your final challenge. You have 4 hours to complete your portrait. Good luck. Your time starts now.
I'm going to take some pictures of you, right? Head, chin down a bit.
Serious doctor face.
That's good.
This set is just unreal. There's so many details. This lovely turquoise glass. I definitely like to incorporate it into my composition.
It's very interesting for me because I can feel you kind of analysing and thinking your way through, and of course this is a world that's completely unknown to me, so really quite fascinating.
Jonathan is just like the dream sitter. I think he's got a really sharp mind, and I can tell already he's like ready to come and just be a good sitter for us.
In the heats, each background included an object that was important to the sitter. Today's set includes scientific apparatus, glass flasks, and, well, human organs, presenting a far greater challenge for our artists.
Hi, Nina. Very complicated setup.
Yes.
It's very horizontal, and it's kind of peculiar that you're... But is that the format you go to automatically for a portrait?
Yeah, it was a bit tricky to incorporate the figure into such a long format, but because we have so many lovely elements in the background, I'm going to use that space to actually fill it with all these lovely glass. And maybe it'll make the painting more interesting.
And you do have that height with those glass thingies.
Yes.
32-year-old Nina Ruminska impressed in the heat with her atmospheric portrait of musician Alexis French.
I think Nina's really clever with composition. She left the face until the end, and actually it's very nearly there.
Despite not winning her heat, she made such an impression on the judges they broke with tradition and created a place for her in the semi-final, where she painted the singer Rebecca Ferguson.
I love the colours in Nina's portrait. Is it enough of a likeness?
No, but it's a great painting that I want to take home. How do you feel about likeness? Is that important?
Could be everything.
Whatever.
For me, portrait is about atmosphere, the whole painting, and face is just one of the elements. Today, I'm actually planning to maybe draw the face a little bit more, because our sitter has had this really serious role when the pandemic happened.
So interesting, it's more about his role rather than his physical appearance.
Yeah, and I'll try to illustrate that kind of seriousness and the weight of the challenge.
Okay. Well, look, he's appearing in all his magnificence. I want to see more.
I'll give you more.
All of today's artists have chosen to work predominantly from life. So their view of the subject is determined by the position they've been given.
Initially, I was a bit disappointed because if you're on the edge, you get more possibilities and more interesting shapes. But then you think, OK, well, what can I do with being head-on? I can really celebrate that. And so I'm going to do something with the geometry here. So I'm kind of arranging it so that certain important elements land exactly on the halfway mark. I think I'm happy with the idea of the painting, and so I'm just going to go with that.
A confident and experienced artist, Binnie Matthews won her heat with a dramatic portrait of former head of MI5, Dame Stella Rimington.
Here's an artist who knows how to look at a sitter and arrange something around them, and it's done with such ease.
She earned her place here today with an ambitious, large-scale portrait of singer Rebecca Ferguson in the semi-final.
For all the grandeur and the presence that Rebecca had, there's a quiet nervousness and gentleness to her. Binnie, we've given you this lovely set, which, to my eye, is pretty landscape in its extension.
Yes.
But you've got a square here. What made you make that decision?
I know, it's obvious that you should paint on a landscape, right? But, you know, he's got kind of a squareness to him.
So you've tuned in to him specifically and his physicality.
And so it all had to change. Yeah.
Okay. With you, we get a very, very good likeness. What are the elements that make you better than the other two artists that are sitting on either side of you?
The only thing I suppose I do have in my arsenal is that I do psychological portraits.
Right.
I just do it intuitively and just see what happens.
Well, that's a lovely start, so I'll let you get on with it.
Thank you.
While some artists make early decisions and forge ahead, committing paint to canvas, Morag is taking her usual explorative approach to her subject.
One of the things I'd really like to capture about Jonathan is the sharpness and the crumpledness of the suit and the way it kind of sits around his body. I love the colour of the suit because it means I can go for a kind of stormy London grey. I was just doing a quick couple of sketches just to see how I might approach that and maybe figure out how to do those stripes.
Professional artist Morag Caister produced an evocative portrait of author and podcaster Elizabeth Day at the Heat, with an approach that was unconventional but impactful.
I think Morag is a phenomenal draftsperson, that she understands what line can do, and the beautifully unfinished face with those really wrong colours. But without them, it wouldn't work, would it?
No.
She continued to impress the judges in the semi-final with her portrait of singer Rebecca Ferguson.
It's very undone, but in its undoneness, it gives us a certain kind of fullness.
We have just the sense of the person, and that's what great art is about.
Good morning, Morag. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good, thank you.
There's an awful lot going on in the scene today. Are you going to include anything behind Jonathan, or...?
I'll probably just focus on Jonathan, but that's not to say that it's not feeding into the feeling of the portrait.
I always get the sense with the kind of work that you make that you're interested to tell us something about the person that you can't see. How are you doing that? What are you trying to pick up on?
It's just watching them and trying to figure out a sense of who they are, but also the way I kind of understand people is through the way that they hold themselves and the kind of space that they take up. I find that I actually learn a bit more about the person after seeing how I painted them.
That's interesting.
Something
yes,
comes through for me, yeah.
Yeah, the hindsight of it. Well, enjoy it.
Thank you.
The artists are almost an hour into today's final challenge.
Nina, I wanted to come over here and help the people watching to feel the tension, the panic. But you don't have any of that, do you?
I'm just trying to make a good painting, you know.
You just seem so relaxed, like you're actually enjoying yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You're not here to enjoy yourself.
I'm sorry.
I get the sort of feeling from Jonathan that he's very reliable and solid, and so I'm just going to paint him straight. This blue ribbon is right in the middle of the canvas, and so I'm going to try and get the painting to rotate around that and see if I can make a really interesting graphic picture within the square.
It takes a bit of time to kind of get that like transfer of Jonathan into my mind and then being able to portray him. And it's hard to say if that's going to happen or not with all paintings.
Today's finalists have been interpreting the features of former Deputy Chief Medical Officer Sir Jonathan Van-Tam for 1 hour. And with 3 hours left, they're not giving anything away.
I'm kind of trying to read their expressions, but I'm also looking at the audience, because they obviously can see what's on the canvas. I'm getting a lot of kind of smiley feedback, so I'm excited and a little nervous.
Jonathan's obviously a very disciplined man, and he brings a rigour as a sitter.
I mean, he's got a very strong look.
Yeah.
So lightness shouldn't be a problem. But that incredible scientific background, it's a very difficult challenge, but it is the final.
The self-portraits that got our 3 finalists into the competition all show a sort of vulnerability in the way they've looked at themselves.
Absolutely.
We've got a man here who you wouldn't put vulnerability at the top of the list of attributes, would you?
I think you're absolutely right. There has always been this empathetic note to their art, and so it's kind of interesting whether they get beyond this rather masculine pose that he's giving us and give us something of the man, because none of us really know him. I hope they can get under his skin.
Well, the day that science met art, which one will win?
Hopefully the art.
Sir Jonathan, you're wearing a medal, which is rather important to you.
Yes, it's very important to me. It's a medal from the people of Boston, and it's the Honorary Freedom of the Borough Medal. To be thanked and recognised by the people who you grew up with in your hometown is extremely special indeed.
Terrific. Do you do any painting yourself?
No, I don't.
It's not your discipline.
I'm afraid it's not. But you see, I like hill walking, I like fishing on the coast, and so because I like those kind of things, I really like landscapes.
We've got you in the wrong series.
You have, but there we go.
A successful portrait often says something about the mood of the sitter. But in a competition environment, there are other factors in play.
So, Binnie, there is quite an intense atmosphere in here.
I know, I think it's the audience.
They're very quiet and reverential, aren't they?
It's just like, don't take it so seriously.
You want everyone to loosen up?
Yeah, let's party a bit.
OK.
The audience is really quiet. I don't know what's wrong with them. I wish maybe they just chat a little bit more. There might be a little bit of serious vibe in the room today, but I'm literally trying to keep the blinders on and do my thing.
I'm definitely feeling the tension in the room, but my fiancé and my mum are over there, a couple of friends too, so yeah, I'm feeling very supported today. It definitely does make you want to step it up in ways that you know that you're capable of doing.
I think what's amazing is this, how focused each of them are. Each of them has worried me in the past in the way that they've started. Nina's so intuitive, you don't really know where she's going, and Morag takes ages to make a decision, whereas actually I think they're going really fast. Binnie a bit faster than everybody else.
Binnie's very good at getting that sense of the person. We know that she can actually give us a really good likeness.
Yes.
So Binnie's sort of got a little advantage in that respect, don't you think?
I think she's really practiced portrait artist, but I worry that we'll think that we've seen what Binnie's done before and there isn't a risk. Where's that sort of extra edge that definitely Nina and Morag bring?
But I don't think we'll really know what they can achieve until we see these commissions of their loved ones.
In addition to creating today's portraits, our finalists were also tasked with painting someone they know very well, to show the judges what they can achieve when given more time. At her studio in Dorset, Binnie has chosen to paint her 2 sons, Rufus and Quentin, who are both artists in their own right.
I think in bronze that will look good.
Yeah. Rufus is a sculptor and a set designer, and Quentin is a painter and an architect. They get on well, but they're so different. Can you look slightly towards Ruth, darling? Oh, that's nice. And I'd like to be able to somehow portray their differences, but also the harmony between them. It's great. The shape between your 2 heads is fantastic. I think that might be it.
Oh, the sun is coming out. It's actually lovely.
In the village of Inniskeen in Ireland, Nina has also been inspired by someone who shares her love of art and is meeting up with friend and sculptor Alan Clark.
I can get you to maybe do a few sketches. Alan came from illustrator's background, but recently he got into sculpture. He's working really hard and putting a lot of time into getting better and improving his skills. And this painting that I want to do of him, it will be sort of a tribute to his art. If you could rotate your head slightly to the left. Oh, no, not too much.
On the beach in Brighton,
Your hair looks great.
Like, messy.
Morag is collecting ideas for her portrait of fiancé Genti, who she will be marrying in his native Albania.
Do you want to just put your headphones on? Genti is a really unique person. He's got a really funny, kind of weird sense of humour, which I really get.
Sounding good.
Our relationship is really affectionate, and he's just really warm, and he really values kindness, and that's something that I've always really loved about him.
With 4 days to complete their commission, the artists can dedicate more time to the planning stages of their portrait, and all 3 have chosen to do preliminary sketches first.
Just get comfy.
So, Morag, why'd you choose me to be the sitter?
I just wanted to do something that I felt safe with and could, at the same time, take some risky decisions with. Because I know you really well, I feel like I can do that.
Good choice. I really like being painted by Morag. I love how she paints. It kind of like portrays her a bit. Like she paints like she is, like she's like really delicate and sweet.
Wow, your hair goes on for a long way, darling. It's like I've got enough charcoal.
Not enough paper. Who do you think's harder to paint out of the 2 of us?
Well, you're very easy to paint because you've got very obvious shapes in your face.
Thanks.
And Rufus is just like subtle, mysterious, and incredibly difficult to capture.
I see you're selling it in particular.
You're equally as wonderful to paint.
Do you want me to portray you in any particular way, or?
Well, I mean, like a Roman emperor or something like that would be nice, you know? So you've done really well to get this far. How are you feeling about being in the final and painting again under pressure?
It's just really crazy in a good sense, as in I'm really pushed to take a few risks.
Yeah, yeah. Your work is, you know, it's simple and clear and there's no gimmicks. That's the strength of it, I think.
I think I'm just thinking of what kind of painter I want to become, and I'm just trying to get there. Okay, Alan, I think I'm there.
That's me! Yeah, brilliant.
Cheers.
OK, guys, I think that's it.
Oh, wow.
Wow, it's really good. You got me spot on there. It's going to be a really interesting painting.
Well, let's see.
OK, it's done.
Oh, wow. Oh, I love it. My hair looks really messy.
True to life.
Well done.
I've decided to paint a double portrait. In Rufus's case, I painted it in quite a blocky way because he's a sort of substantial, big, strong man. And then I wanted to counteract that with a more delicate, lighter touch with Quentin.
I decided to incorporate one of Alan's sculptures, which I thought was a good way of celebrating him as an artist. There's space around his head. It's like a thinking space to be filled with thoughts.
I decided to paint Genti lying down in a comfortable position that I just see him in really often and wearing my jumper. He's always wearing my clothes, and I'm always wearing his clothes. And I wanted to have that as a little feature.
The completed commissions will be revealed to the judges at the end of today's challenge. But in the meantime, the artists have 2 hours to finish their portraits of Jonathan Van-Tam.
The biggest challenge is balancing the character of the sitter with how the background is arranged. I was planning to go crazy with colors, but then I have to keep in mind that the vibe is quite serious. It's going to be interesting to solve that.
I'm trying to figure out whether I should actually use oil paint or pastel for the skin. I'm kind of leaning towards pastel, but I'm feeling a bit torn at the moment.
Well, Binnie, good sitter, eh?
Yes. Well, we haven't really spent enough time together. I think we need to go for a coffee.
I think if you took the sitter off for a coffee, that would throw the judging, rather.
What if I took the judges off for a coffee or a vodka? Then I might win.
Two hours have passed since our finalists began painting the portrait of former Deputy Chief Medical Officer Sir Jonathan Van-Tam.
Were you surprised when I turned up?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't expecting you, but I was so happy that it was you.
Good, excellent. I look at good artists of all sorts, and I often say, if I could swap everything I've kind of done in medicine for being them, then I would.
You'd exchange... Wow.
Yeah, I would. I'd swap it out tomorrow if I was
That's
good
so
enough.
interesting.
But I'm not. I'm a car crash.
So we're halfway through the day, 3 very different personalities, but all seem to be relaxed and fairly happy with what's being produced.
Yeah, it's really nice on the final when you don't have an artist make a colossal mistake in the morning and then have to claw to the finish line. I think they've all started beautifully.
Nina produces very good-looking paintings.
Yeah, the colour tones are gorgeous. They've got a richness, a depth. They're almost magical. I mean, now that she's put in those space balls, you're transported to another planet.
I like the fact that Nina's showing us the sense of volume again and the beautifully delicate hands in this triangle that are really pinning him into the painting. But I have a problem with lightness.
And Nina has struggled before with likeness.
Well, I don't think Nina struggles. No. We struggle with Nina's likeness because I think Nina's perfectly satisfied. And I think that for her, likeness is something that comes and goes, but a great painting lasts forever.
Binnie's giving us another incredibly competent painting. Quite a traditional style of painting.
I don't know if Binnie's style is necessarily entirely traditional. She executes it with a lot of flair, but I'm concerned that her composition could be too traditional, this kind of frontal aspect. But I'm hoping that as she sort of paints out and starts including more things, it will liven up.
And I think what we've got now are very polite greys from the underpainting and blues, and it is looking very conventional in that sense. And so hopefully a bit of colour, something with a bit of punch will lift it again.
Morag has a very emotional process. She sits, she watches, she feels. Is that working?
I really love it. For me, sometimes with Morag, I think it's the clothes that could be make or break. She could overplay those fabrics and sort of diminish the beautiful quality of the figure.
It's just so well, I was going to say observed, but it's felt. But is it enough for a portrait commission in a gallery?
Looking at Morag's painting has encouraged me to spend more time looking at the bit of the paper that isn't painted on. So instead of fretting about it just being another floating figure, I'm now trying to understand it's also about what isn't there. It becomes part of the whole.
So, it's a final. There are 3 artists. You must have a favourite at this stage, each of you.
They're all producing astonishing work. That's why they're here. But at the moment, I don't see one ahead of the other.
I've had favourites in the past on the final, but not today. I can't believe what a lineup we've got.
Yeah.
From Morag, I'm getting lots of warm smiles and a sense that whatever she has in mind, it's going to plan. Binnie looks very determined. I get a sense that she has got a roadmap and she's ticking off the milestones in her own head. And Nina is painting in a more kind of iterative way, feeling her way through this. But they're just my impressions. Might all be rubbish.
Binnie, I'm looking at your painting and I'm loving the colours. It's very subtle.
Oh, that's really sweet of you. I was going to beef it up a bit, actually, in terms of colour.
But it's also the composition, and it's a really strong look. I'm looking at you and I'm serious.
He is pretty serious.
Painting is such a serious thing.
Even though we're smiling. What's all that about?
Jonathan, you're famous for your football analogies. So what are we, deep into the second half?
Yeah, it's certainly quite kind of cagey. Bit tense, you know, who's going to nick it?
Someone has to lift the trophy.
Let's hope it doesn't go to penalties.
Well, I don't think I could take it.
I think it's going well. A little bit of like tiredness is kicking in, so I definitely just need to just breathe and just make some good decisions. Because first 2 hours I like just splash the colors all over the canvas. This next part is just tighten everything and keep the drawing nice and precise, so it'll be a little bit more chill.
Now, Morag, you've got the pose exactly, with his legs apart and the 2 hands. Explain me why you're using the pastel?
I just got a white oil pastel just to quickly colour in the shirt because it's just such an immediate way to get down a patch of colour.
And then you're going to bring on the red tie and the blue ribbon. That matters a lot to her, I think.
It's quite important, yeah.
And the white throws that into relief.
I hope so. At the moment, it's looking quite subtle, but once the other colours are around, I'm hoping it's going to stand out a bit more.
That's a technique I wouldn't have recognised, but once you explain it, I can see what's happening.
Thank you.
Binnie, you got this position, Jonathan straight on. Initially, you sort of found it difficult, but I think you found a way into it.
Well, I think celebrate it. That's the only thing we can do. Yeah.
So it is very square on and very centred, but there are these subtle shifts, aren't there?
Yes. I noticed that his tie and his collar are slightly skewy. They're not all on the centre line, which is quite interesting.
You're absolutely right. And it makes things like the hands being asymmetrical and doing slightly different things, it makes it kind of powerful, doesn't it?
Yes. Thank
Doesn't
you
it?
for that.
Our finalists have just 30 minutes left to finish their portraits.
The painting is almost asking me to add more things, but then when I'm adding things, the painting might go like, no, 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 just don't leave me alone. So it's just a matter of feeling.
I love watching you put these stripes on.
Yeah, I am enjoying this part.
I see you doing the stripes from life. What are you looking at?
The way that they shape themselves around the body to try and make sure that the shape of him kind of comes through.
It's a really elegant solution.
I'm glad you think so.
I've got a lot to do here. Normally I can do it, but I don't know what's been going on. I would like more time on the face. I'm running out of time.
After nearly 4 hours of intense concentration, the artists are nearing the end of their final painting challenge.
I've just got to make him look monumental and solid. He's a lovely grey colour, but I want to do a little bit more drama.
I just use a bit of pastel on the tie and his medal. I think the tones in his skin are kind of the right balance between the kind of intensity of the pastel. So I think the pastels worked. I think so.
Artists, you have 5 minutes left.
Last 5 minutes is really tricky because it might lead to a disaster. It's just literally whatever is kind of screaming at me, I'm trying to calm it down.
Artists, your time is up. Put down your equipment and stand back from your easels.
The time has come for Jonathan to see the 3 finished portraits for the very first time. But he'll only be able to choose one to take home with him.
So, Jonathan, was it an ordeal or was it a pleasure?
It was absolutely fascinating, a lovely experience after the last 2.5 years, so thank you very much.
Oh, our pleasure. Now, this is the moment of truth. How do you feel?
Nervous, very nervous.
Artists, can I ask you, please, to turn your easels?
Those are quite astonishing, and I'm in awe. Breathtaking.
Right, let's have a closer look, shall we? Morag.
I love it. I think that's great. You've definitely captured the expression absolutely correctly, and the way you've portrayed pinstripes is really extremely clever.
Thank you.
Right, Binnie.
This is a JVT I recognise from some of my sterner moments at the podium at number 10. There's a kind of directness and a kind of energy that is very powerful.
Yes, I would do what this man told me to do.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Nina, the softer side of Jonathan.
Yes, this one's really different to the others. There is this real kind of warmth there, and I do have a warmer side. And you've kind of picked out pinks without actually picking out the pinstripe, which I think is very clever indeed.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Nina. So, Jonathan, they've been hard at work all day. It's now your turn to do the work.
Yeah. What I really want to do is take them all.
Absolutely.
I have to go with that direct expression.
Well done, Binnie.
Before examining the finished portraits, the judges finally get the chance to see the artist's commissions, which have been kept under wraps until now.
Oh, that's amazing. They've
Wow.
definitely delivered.
These are all incredible.
They really haven't disappointed us, have they?
Yeah, absolutely sensational. So great. Well, I mean, what do we do?
Any favourites?
Nina's come a bit out of the dream, hasn't she?
Yeah.
She's tried to show us that she can give us a real person.
But that said, there's still this really dense, sort of atmospheric, poetic quality to it. She definitely has a kind of inbuilt vintage setting. It's so great.
Yeah, and that lovely, heavy, dark line that
Yeah.
makes you think you're in the Impressionist period.
But also, she's brought us into the contemporary world with that inventive layering of paint that we like so much in her work. That shirt is just magical. I don't quite know how she's made it.
Feeling really proud of myself, just because when you do art, you have many, many moments of self-doubt, and there's always this thought of, oh, I'm not good enough. But I sort of proved to myself that I can do it, and it's a really great feeling.
I love the shift we've got here from Morag, from draftsperson to painter. And suddenly the painting is alive. I mean, that extraordinary range of colours in the legs, but the delicacy of the tones in the face.
I think this body reclining in space is magnificent. I mean, it has so many great art historical references. I'm thinking of the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah.
And I love how contemporary it is with the clothing.
I just feel an incredible sense of tenderness.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's the level of attention to the face, but it feels very warm, very tender.
I hope that my commission shows the judges a sort of a different side of my practice. I know Genty so well. I hope that that love that I have for him comes through in the piece and that it feels like a relatable painting.
Binnie's ambitious as ever with a double portrait, and she's so interested always in weighting things and balancing things. Just look how fantastically undone the right-hand side is, and then compare it to the left.
Great colour palette. It really sings. And the way this painting is structured, there's a distance and an isolation and a narrative that I don't quite understand, but that makes it kind of draw you in, doesn't it?
And I love the fact that I don't know, am I indoors, am I outdoors? It's beautifully expressionistic.
Yeah.
We've got a very even playing field here with Nina and Morag. But I also have a great deal of respect for the judges. So if they did choose me to win, then I would be enormously flattered.
The judges now have the opportunity to see the artist's commissions alongside today's portraits.
Congratulations on picking 3 fine artists. What a great collection of portraits.
Each of them lives up to their own stylistic reputation.
And I think there's quite a complex progression as well. When you see the two pieces together now, you really see just how robust and complex each of their practices are.
Nina creates a world that I would like to live in. It's a very beautiful world, isn't it?
It is, but there's always a flavour of melancholia. And
that's what I like.
Yes, it's something that Nina plugs into. And I'm always interested in portrait artists. What comes from them, what comes from the sitter, how much is being projected.
Don't we love portraiture, though, because great portraiture shines a light on the sitter and a light on the artist?
Absolutely. I mean, ultimately, I think that Nina's painting has the same characteristics as she does as a person. She's slightly dreamy, and I feel that through the painting as well.
What she does is bring the background very close, and it reflects on their mood very much, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you can feel the air between the sitter and into space.
But it's the way that the paint goes down, the way that it's slightly unfocused, and it just means everything's so atmospheric. So she can make each work have a distinct sense to it, but overall there's a cohesion.
Let's move from Nina to Binnie's contribution.
I think that Jonathan is great. It's a proper celebration of all of his achievements. I think she really managed to capture him powerfully, but with an element of expression.
There are these subtle sort of shifts of the shoulder, the hands aren't symmetrical. And she found a way of getting into the painting and really using it as a sort of abstract exercise in sort of balance.
And I think what Binnie's so brilliant at is painting just enough. And we really get to see her do that when we see her commission, where she's had more time to do less.
So Morag's given us a very physically imposing Jonathan, and the submission, the way she's placed that figure.
Yeah. You feel that weight of the emptiness underneath. There's nothing on the paper, but you feel it.
Yeah.
And we often talk about wanting to see something that's new, that's refreshing, and she is doing that.
And it's very ambitious, kind of marks that she's making at the top of the head, on the chin. Actually, it's not very good looking. And so it's kind of like a radical thing that she's doing, disassembling how we understand a cheek or an eye socket sit together. And I think this is like the greatest pinstripe in art history.
Yeah. And what's interesting is we are not getting Morag. What we're getting here is Jonathan. That's what I want to see in a portrait artist. Somebody who doesn't project their own feelings, but is sensitive enough to pick up what's there and respond to it.
You have three really fantastic artists here, and you have to pick one. So we will leave you to make a decision.
It will be a hard one to make. Binnie, Nina, Morag, you are all exceptional artists and you've been exemplary finalists.
But there can be only one winner, and the judges have made their choice. The winner of Portrait Artist of the Year is Morag Caister.
Get in there.
I really can't believe what just happened. To actually win it is just really, oh my God. I can't really fathom what's going on. I've got the most supportive family and friends around me. There's nothing like having people who love you and support you and are happy for you when you're successful.
Well done to Morag. She did an amazing job today, and her commission is just beautiful. Her texture, the composition is just wonderful.
Taking part in the competition is like a new experience, and that's always really exciting. I'm very happy for Morag because she's doing something really important, because she's making drawing a thing in her paintings, and I think she's a very worthy winner.
I'll see you at the National Portrait Gallery.
Wow. See that. Lenny Henry, it's going to be incredible working with him and doing his portrait. I can't believe I get to do that.
It just has to be Morag. This is what portrait can be. It can really be fascinating and exciting and thrilling artwork.
It's wonderful work, so good.
When you stand in front of a Morag drawing stroke painting, it hits you viscerally. It's reduced to the pure essence of the person, and there's nothing extraneous, so it really draws you in. I mean, it's a real electric jolt.
You do a great job.
Thank you so much.
Morag's fresh and she's new and she's giving us something that we haven't seen before. And given the commission is going into the National Portrait Gallery, I mean, what more could we ask for?
She's brilliant.
Next time, Morag gets to know actor and broadcaster Sir Lenny Henry.
Hey, Morag.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you here.
You ready to rock?
As she begins work on her commission for the National Portrait Gallery's permanent collection.
Too excited?
Here we go.